Okay, now we will working on an activity made academy cloud foundation. It's called AWS Lambda. 咁而家我哋做一個練習嘅 AWS Lambda 啦。For activity, it will be shorter time for you instead of lab. Lab is much longer. Okay, just close the terminal. 咁刪咗 terminal 啦。This is the logic. We will trigger. Is Lambda is something called event driven architecture. You something happen, the Lambda function will run and then do something. 嗱咁其實 Lambda 個概念就係、即係其實叫 event driven，即係發生啲事件就喐一喐個 program。咁啊冇即係總之冇事發生佢就唔行嘅。For this lab exercise test, we will trigger the Lambda based on a event-based timer, and then Lambda run, and then we stop an EC2 instance。咁今次玩咧，其實就係個 event-based 其實好似 timer 咁，其實夠鐘佢就要行，跟住 trigger Lambda 就熄機。Okay, let's start the lab. Click on AWS. Oh, sorry, click on Start Lab first. 咁啊撳一撳 Start Lab 啦，and then you need to wait for the lab start. Ready. Wait for the lab into ready state so you can click on it, and the lab time not yet start. And okay, just wait for a moment. 咁打一等啦要啊。Okay, it should be okay now, and this lab seem to be very fast. And it will not run anything behind the scene maybe. So we just click on AWS as the lab already start, and the timer is countdown. Already just click on AWS, access your AWS account. 咁而家我入 AWS account，咁 click on 佢啦，click 就 click 佢啦。Okay, just start and then pro up and then manage console. We will go to the service called Lambda. 咁我哋而家去 Lambda 嘅服務度啦。For Lambda, you may have the historical here, but if you don't have it, just type Lambda。咁啊打 Lambda 喺上面，Ctrl 即係 Ctrl C，Ctrl V 級一級啦。click on it，咁啊撳一撳個服務。Okay, let's work on it together. First of all, we need to create a Lambda function correctly. Okay, just close here. 咁我哋整個 Lambda function 啦。We are from scratch。咁我哋就由零標起，因為其實你有啲可以用 template，即係人哋 blueprint 就人哋整咗俾你。咁有時咧你又可以支援行 Docker 嘅。For Lambda, if in the case that if you do something very very common, you can take a look to the blueprint. You will let you to download some blueprint. For example, you want to trigger get an something someone put the object in the bracket and then do something SV bracket object. You just through the template. 咁其實 template 就係啲好 standard 嗰啲嘢咧，即係你整個 web call 飛入嚟啊，整個 file 掟入嚟就行啊，咁你就用 template 咯。咁有時你會用 container 嘅，即係你好簡單，你啲 runtime 你唔支援嘅，即係喂你好簡單嚟嘅，你話要 rush 你未有噶嘛，咁你咪要用 container 去包咯。For the container cases, in case of default runtime of AWS Lambda is not support. For example, you got a from scratch one, and then you know you need to select the programming language. You use the programming language is not exist at all. It's not yet support in AWS. You will use container to wrap it Docker. For example, Rush maybe. Yeah. If you just run the OS version, is don't have runtime, and then you suppose you use a low level one. 咁我哋就繼續啦。Let's continue. We will use Python 3.8。咁我哋今次用 Python 3.8去寫。咁但係Python 3.8 is no longer here, so we just pick one of the Python maybe. But you can the current latest version is here, but Python 3.8 is still here. So we just follow instruction。咁其實理論上咧最新就你見到啦，佢去到3點幾3.12嘅。咁但係你話如果用個舊版佢都俾。咁you can use the old version. Since the lab will follow the old version, we just follow it. And then we trigger the name is stop my stop in data. 咁呢個就係個 function 名 function name here. And you need to set the architecture in the past you don't have it, but now you can have the choice of between the general AMD and Intel CPU or use AWS the CPU from AWS over Guardian and嗱，咁其實舊時就冇話兩隻 architecture 嘅，咁其實而家你可以用即係啱嗰個其實就係 AWS 嗰啲 CPU 咁 咁其實就理論上佢就抵玩啲，因為平啲，同埋即係佢話個效率問題，因為啱啊慳電啲，佢計電同你收錢啫嘛。咁同埋行得快啲，即係佢計電同行得快唔快，咁其實計電都係嘅，所以佢平啲。In some cases, if your application is not depend on something some library need to be run in the Intel CPU. You're possible to use ARM since it's a little bit cheaper and in general it's more sustainability. This mean you save the money and save the power, save the electricity. Okay, we need to set up the permissions. 咁我哋要搞 permission, we need to change the default execution role. 嗱，咁我哋要搞個 permit，搞個權限，要改個叫 execution role 嘅。咁啊咩嚟嘅咧？execution role 就係、喂，你而家你有個 lambda function，個 lambda function 要代表你去熄機喎。喂，其實你諗下呢個動作都幾危險喎，即係殺咗你部機就得嘛。咁你要俾權限嘅。咁其實 AWS 會俾你，即係 execution role 就係俾你，即係有兩個 permission 嘅，但係呢個就係代表個 lambda 可以做啲乜，因為仲有另一個 permission 咧，就係邊個可以用呢條 lambda。咁你就去揀啦，咁就。跟住佢整咗俾你就揀啦，咁你呢度就控制佢可以做啲咩，因為你唔能夠俾太多權限佢，會好危險啦！你呢度 Lambda 俾人 hack 咗你大鑊。For the execution role, the logic is that when the AWS Lambda function execute your program, it will change your AWS account setting and also create or destroy your resources. This is something very, very dangerous. So suppose you only allow it to stop the server, just create a role for AWS Lambda and then use that role only is able to stop the server. This is the way to give the minimum permission of your AWS Lambda for your security consideration. And now we need to set a role is called this one. This is created from lab. 咁呢個喺個 lab 度俾你哋係唔可以 create role 嘅。For this AWS Academy, you are never able to create anything in a IAM, especially related to permission. Role you can't create. So every time you do the lab exercise, you need to pick a role. And you can view the permission here. 實邪咯，咁我 click 可以睇啊。Okay, let's see. Oh, we got the permission here. This is all of them is in nice and they create for Lambda. This is so-called the basic execution for Lambda, and then the VPC access for Lambda, so that it can touch the VPC, it can put the log, and most important, it can stop the server here, stop and start。嗱咁其實你睇到個 role 即係呢個 role 就黐咗佢代表你角色扮演 OK。咁其實個 role 黐咗 Lambda 有啲咩可以做咧？就可以熄機，點樣熄機、開機，跟住咧有啲基本嘢，因為你要寫啲 log 落去，咁咪睇唔到 log 嘅，咁所以永遠都有個 basic execution role 就係俾你寫落 log 先。咁 log 即係可以 check 翻行唔行到，睇到嘢陣間會俾你睇。咁跟住從而其實好多時你會而家嚟講，你個 Lambda 有機會係要掂 VPC，因為佢會 create， 即係有機會可以將個 Lambda function 擺入個 VPC 入邊，咁佢就要有啲權限掂個 network card， 因為佢 create 個 network card 俾個 Lambda function。A bit more explanation is about VPC as a execution role. The reason is that in the recent year, you can put your AWS Lambda inside your VPC. But for the permission is that if anything inside your VPC, you need to have the ability to create a virtual network interface inside your VPC. So you need to have this network interface permission, so that the Lambda function, if the Lambda function is moved into your own VPC, it's able to create network interface for it, and then it's able to access the internet. Otherwise, it can't use. OK，咁繼續啦。咁我哋咧就 create 個just choose create function, and then we will set up the source code next. OK, stop in the data, train the default role. OK. Create function. I just wrote the instruction, but 嗱，如果真係 follow instruction 一下，but you bring about this source code is still empty。你真係啲 default code 嚟嘅，it's no logic there。default code 係冇功能嘅，咁咪即係應該會開啦，咁會改啦。We will train it later. Now we will set up the trigger. As the case as I mentioned, something happen is something, and then it run. This is the beauty of Lambda function. You never have to something idle in your account so to cause you to pay money。咁其實最理想嘅嘢就係用 Lambda 做嘅，原理就係因為你用幾多咧，其實佢平日佢唔行嘅，即係你掂一掂佢喐一喐，掂一掂喐佢，咁其實可以一下好慳同埋好有效率咁做嘢。嗱咁我哋咧add the trigger， click on add trigger. 咁我哋 add 個 trigger，you will see a lot of type of trigger here. For example, you can have even though if your AWS you have Alexa something is you can talk it is being 咁有個美國有個 Alexa 咁我都有隻喺度咁其實你可以對住佢講嘢，其實如果你要做啲 Alexa program 一定要用 Lambda 做 back end 嘅，因為你每同佢講一句嘢，個 Lambda 就要行一行。In case of if your Alexa is something you interest, every time you talk to it, it will trigger a Lambda function as just a short conversation. Every time you talk to it, it will run a Lambda function. You can have API gateway for the internet, for the HTTP call, and connect to load balancer. 咁啊。乜都有嘅，因為其實呢都係發生嘅事情。Web request 都係就係 call 佢就點樣閃開晒晒。We will not explain more many here, but now we go down to look for the event page. Event page here and CloudWatch event is its old name is CloudWatch event。咁其實 event page 呢個 CloudWatch event 係改咗名嘅，舊時叫 CloudWatch event，咁而家改咗名叫 event page。咁 event page 係啲咩嚟咧？咁其實你有AWS入邊好多事件發生，乜都得㗎。乜都有嘅，咁其實啲事件發生咧，就問我咁去咗邊嘅，咁其實個 event page 可以接晒啲 event，然後再 forward 出嚟，即係其實好簡單，咩叫 event？開部機閂部機啊，有人 log in 嗰啲全部嘢喺 AWS 上面佢挖得到，佢都會 put 成一個事件，嗰個事件你擺到條 page，嗰個 page 可以 forward 出去第啲位。The case is that event page is will capture nearly all everything in your AWS account. For example, start a server, stop a server, create something, someone log in, whatever. It will wrap as a event. And then the event will put into the event page, and then the event page will try to forward the event to take action. For example, here one of the actions is Lambda. 咁今次就行 Lambda. Click on the CloudWatch event, and then we create a new rule, and the rule name will be every minute. 嗱，咁我哋咧整條新嘅規矩啦，咁啊每分鐘行一次啦。Places, and then root type is we don't have description, but 我哋唔寫 description 啦。咁呢個咧就係有個 event schedule expression，OK？ schedule expression. This is a cron job。咁呢個 cron job 嚟其實 ，but OK。Just copy here. But if you have event pattern, you can take a look. For example, you see the auto scaling. 咁其實 event pattern 就係 capture AWS 入邊啲 event. For example, you got auto scaling. I mean that's the server add a new server when the loading is string。咁啊加 server 啦，即係有時我哋會叫做 loading 多就加 server 就 auto scaling 自動加機減機，你之後會玩。咁其實乜鬼嘅 event 都有嘅，即係最簡單就係 for example EC2，and then I find the EC2 got a take a snapshot or whatever the station just start server stop server。咁其實有時話開機閂機我想知啊，有人成啊，咁我想知，咁見到好多 event 嘅，you see the any a lot of support event is default here. But it may not be everything. Yeah, you can have other method to forward the event to the event page and then trigger。咁其實呢度都唔係齊章嘅，因為其實理論上你可以自己整啲 event forward 去條 event page 去接嘅。咁啊，但係我哋呢個就未必咁玩啦。咁 OK，let's go get back to the original setup is the schedule expression。咁啊，翻原本嘅 setting 就係定時定候行一行啦。Let's say take the event schedule, so called the wait for 1 minute is here. You can two type of expression. For example, you can use English， 咁你可以用英文啦，or use the traditional one is a cron job expression。咁啊 cron 一就係你可以用英文咁打或者 cron 咁，咁其實 cron 就咁你撳你就知，咁其實你因為佢成日出咁你 rate 咯，咁你跟啲 document，咁 cron 就基本上 Linux 嗰度成日寫 cron job 定時定候行。This cron job is something very common in Linux, as you know it. You sometimes you want to automatically run something inside your Linux, you will set up a cron job. OK。Or we finish the event trigger， 咁我搞掂㗎啦，我哋 set 個 event trigger 就每分鐘行一行 ，add it，and then the Lambda function will got update here， you run one event trigger，but you can have additional event trigger， 你咁可以好多 event 一齊 trigger 佢度，因為但係咧就你冇理由有啲唔同類型嘅，即係你今次係時間鐘啦，但係你下一次你冇理由整個話咩擺個 file 又做嘢。logic 唔啱做嘅，即係做一類嘢，你可能可以有 multiple event 去行佢。For the logic is that you can have multiple event trigger to the Lambda function, but by design by your programming point of view, you will not have a single Lambda function to serve multiple type of event. For example, in here you will not add a event trigger. For example, upload a file to SV. This should not trigger a Lambda function to share the same Lambda function to do something very different here. You should have different Lambda function, different event trigger for different function. OK，咁繼續啦，咁啊記住啦，做一樣嘢得㗎啦，因為我哋呢啲叫 microservice，咁啊做一樣嘢夠啊。We are doing something so-called microservice. It's a very small unit to focus on single function. Let's go back to the function overview. Here you see the event trigger, and then we want to update the source code. And you can click on the here, the lambda function should be here. Click on the code. You can click a different view. So yeah, if you want to configure the trigger, you will click on the trigger. You will see that check how the destination is the output rate, and we don't check at the destination now. But you when using this user interface, you need to click on. You can click on different part. It will move to the corresponding setting. For example, you click on lambda function. It will give you the clock view here. Okay, we will replace the source code. You click on the lambda function, and then you will click on the clock here. Okay, but just click on the layer. Is something you will learn later. 咁其實咧，lambda function 你 click 呢啲位又移來移去，因為而家好複雜，所以咧佢就整個 graphic 俾你 click 來 click 去。咁但係撳 layer 其實遲啲會玩嘅，即係會再搞。咁其實會係有時我哋會擺啲 common 嘅 program 喺個 layer 度，library 擺喺 layer 度。咁我去 share。Okay, now click on the source code. We will replace the source code here. This is something very familiar. We use something like account line or expression here. You click on the copy the source code, and then you need to configure your region since this is hard coded, and also the instance ID. Okay, region and instance ID. Where should it be? I think it's in the detail. 嗱，咁其實呢度你要換翻個 region 同 instance ID，但係咧你應該撳 AWS detail. So normally the academic lab will help you to extract the information. You don't need to go to the console. 嗱，通常你唔使嘅呢度得噶啦。嗱，region 呢個啦，US is one 啦，but instance ID is not here。嗱，咁啊冇 instance ID。OK，region should be replaced here。But for instance ID, there is no instance ID for replace instance ID。咁啊要翻個 EC2 instance ID 或者識邊部機，你知 you try our program to stop the instance, you need the ID of the instance。咁啊升機你要個 ID 啊，咁我哋要攞翻個 ID 先。We need to check the ID. Go to here, click on EC2, but remember you keep the tab。咁啊 keep 住個 tab 撳，要 click your keyboard control, hold the control key and then click EC2。咁啊撳住個 control 掣。keyboard 個 control 掣，然後 click EC2。Okay, you see a running instance, and then instance run。咁你 click 一個 instance 啦，行緊啦，揾 instance 呢個就 instance ID 啊，你 click 佢，要 click on it and then click the small copy button here, copy。咁啊撳一撳細地個掣就 copy 啦，跟住咧就翻去隔離啦。Gonna go back to the Lambda console and then replace the ID here. Be careful, you need to remember, don't remove the code。咁你小心啲，唔好抌咗個 code，因為 Python 你抌咗 code 會爛啦。Okay, now you finish your source code, and then you need to save it, and then you can run it, but now don't run it, just save it, and you just click on Control S to save it。咁你就 save 咗佢啦。OK, save it。跟住咧你就 deploy 要 deploy your lambda function to the runtime。咁我哋就抄出嚟啦，部署啦 ，deploy 咗咩部署嚟抄，即係叫佢 update 落去啦。咁而家咧when you deploy you need to review the EC2 console. Wait for a moment. You should see the server will be stopped. And okay, deploy it and then monitor to the setting and the EC2 console. Just wait for a moment. Okay, and let's go to another setting。咁其實我哋等佢 run， 因為每分鐘 run 一次啦，1分鐘後應該有睇。但係 run 之前咧，我哋咧就去一去嗰個 monitor 個 tab 度。咁我哋去 monitor。Let's go to the monitor tab。咁 monitor immediately you see the log, see the execution 啊。咁我哋睇下有冇行啦，同埋有冇 log 睇啦。咁呢度 you will see this how many invocation duration, how many times. It have run the single times. You see, run that, and very short. It just run say 8 millisecond。咁啊行咗一次，跟住就八個 ms。咁 ms 即係叫微秒啦，即係千分之一秒。咁行好短啊，所以俾好少錢，基本上唔使錢。So you have actually your free of charge as it's run too short time. So we go to EC2 here to refresh it. I go EC2 refresh. Oh, you see the server is no longer here. Okay, just close the filter. 咁你見到收音見咗，你 close 咗呢個 filter 嘅。You see the status become stopped。咁你熄咗 filter，見到熄咗機。咁你可以玩多次嘅。You can try again. You can try to start the server again. And then after 1 minute, it should stop again. And okay, single time. Okay, you verify the Lambda function, and then you check out the server select here, and then it's one single time, and then you can also review the log。咁我教你睇埋個 log。咁呢度你行咗一次啦。如果你要 debug 咧，要睇 log。Every time you want to debug, it's quite straightforward. You just review your log. Click on here, you can review your CloudWatch logs. Everything in the cloud will try to stream the log information into CloudWatch log。咁喺雲端上面，我哋基本上盡可能將呢泵就 CloudWatch log 度，因為其實個 Lambda function 已經行一次就熄咗噶啦。You should know that the Lambda function will run, well, after you run it, it disappear. It is mainly destroy. 咁成部抌咗。So you go to CloudWatch logs, you have 2 records. Since every time you run, you got single record. The first time is here, and then you see it have some running. I'm not sure, but after your deployment here. But since our function don't log any, I just stopped it here. What's happening is the source code. The source code is pin. Do you see the source code there is a pin? The pin stop your instance and it's an ID. The log is the same. You see the pin, the instance stops ID. 咁而家咧，你睇到呢個 log 咧就同呢句編一樣。咁其實你 debug 你可以編下佢咯，但唔編太多咁收錢嘅。But you will remember, don't print too much in the log stream. As normally the log stream you have to pay. Yeah, there's storage, and just be careful how many information you log, and also the sensitive information don't log into the log stream. 敏感資料唔好編出嚟，因為會喺度嘈咗。咁其實而家有啲服務幫你 filter 啲敏感資料喺個 log 度，但係就唔好啦。But nowadays there's some service in AWS if you try to help you to remove the sensitive information in log, but don't do that. This is much safer, even though it say it can. For the case that you don't want to keep too much log, how can you do it? You can set up the log stream here. You can have some action, for example, you can 如果你唔想 keep 咁多咧，你可以自己呢個 retention edit the retention setting。如果你唔想 keep 太多，你就改呢度。If you don't want to keep too many log here, you remember to set it. It's logical you should always set it. Remember, always setting it. Otherwise, after a few years, you will get a lot of log, and then you need to pay some money every year。咁你唔講你唔 set 呢 retention period， 你會好多 log 嘅。所以其實呢啲就冇教你，但係其實正常你一定要 set 嘅。如果唔係咧，即唔合理嘅 keep 永遠 OK。Keep forever is not making sense。OK，so the log we have tracked it, and then we just after 1 more minute you see the server stop again. You start it, and then after 1 minute it stop again. OK, this exercise should be finished。咁呢個練習就做完啦。咁其實就不斷咁熄你部機咯，不斷咁熄你部機。咁will keep close your instance all the time。When you now you finish also remember log out。咁搞掂你嘅 log out 啦，跟住 close 咗個 browser，log out and then close your tab so that it will not corrupt your lab exercise。OK, finish。咁搞掂啦。咁remember end the lab as well。Otherwise you can't start another lab。咁記得熄個 lab，如果唔係你做唔到下一個 lab。